Being the chair, I can say I am a qualified town planner and architect. Um, for the last 10 years, I've been either chair or an expert member of panels similar to this around the Sydney region. Prior to that, I was a commissioner of the New South Wales Land and Environment Court for 14 years. Prior to that, I was a director of a consulting company in architecture, town planning, landscape architecture, and prior to that, I was chief town planner of the Wyong Shire on the central coast of New South Wales. Can I ask Heather Wharton to give a summary of her experience?
Thanks, Kevin. I'm also a town planner. I've had 35 years experience. I'm a self-employed planning consultant working mainly for state and local government, and I'm an alternate chair and an expert member of a number of other local planning panels, and this is my first Ku-ring-gai meeting. So thank you.
Oh, welcome, Heather. Thank you. I wonder, Michael Mason, if you would introduce yourself.
Certainly. My name's Michael Mason. I'm a town planner with 40 plus years experience in both rural and urban settings, dealing with issues, a variety of issues, commercial, high-rise residential, and a range of other issues. I also sit on other panels and currently working in a range of contract situations as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And Susan Jolly, the community representative.
Yeah, so I've been a resident of the Ku-ring-gai Council area for close to 13 years, 14 years now. Resided up in the Ku-ring-gai area for the last 10 years. I guess I've been on this as a community member for almost 4 to 5 years now. This is my second term as a community member for Ku-ring-gai on these panels. So yeah, my technical background, I'm an environmental planner by career. That's what I do. I don't work in the urban environment at all. I consult to the industrial sectors. So no conflict of interest with this particular development at all. But that's me. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Well, you've started the next component, Susan. I heard you have no conflicts of interest with items on the agenda. I have no conflicts, and Heather and Michael, can you indicate your position?
I have no conflicts. Thanks, Chair.
I have no conflict of interest either. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we don't have any apologies for attendances at the meeting today, and we have a number of council staff present, those who have written the reports before us today. Does the staff have any declarations?
No, Mr. Chair.
Right, that's for everybody in the room there.
That's for everybody in the room. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we have one speaker listed, one objector. I need to run through briefly the order of the meeting, even though we only have one person to speak, because it's a matter of public interest. Here, in line with the social distancing requirements to limit the spread of COVID-19 virus, Ku-ring-gai local planning panel meetings may be held using conferencing technology until further notice from the department. Today's meeting is being conducted over Zoom. Any person speaking at a local planning panel meeting are advised that their voice and personal information, including name and address, will be recorded as part of the meeting and made publicly available on Council's website via live stream and on-demand access, except any part of the meeting that's held in closed session. Accordingly, you must ensure that your address to the panel is respectful and that you use appropriate language and refrain from making any defamatory statements or discriminatory comments. Ku-ring-gai Council does not accept any liability for statements, comments, or actions taken by individuals during a meeting of the Ku-ring-gai local planning panel. People connecting to this meeting by conferencing technology I reminded that under the Local Government Act 1993, the recording of meetings by a member of the public using any electronic recording device, including a mobile phone or video camera, is not permitted. Any person found recording without the permission of council may be expelled from the meeting. Pardon me. Some points to note: on-demand viewing of each Ku-ring-gai local planning panel meeting will be available until the holding of the subsequent meeting, and recordings of the meetings are copyright protected and cannot be reused or reproduced without the approval of council. Now, I think we can move to the item on the agenda. Prior to this meeting, when the panel was in closed session, we dealt with item GB1 on the agenda, as we were permitted to do under the provisions of the planning panel's guidelines. And so we only have to deal with item GB2, which is an application at 186 Pacific Highway, Roseville, consisting of demolition of an existing structure and construction of a residential flat comprising 8 apartments, basement parking, landscaping and associated works. Now, the panel has visited this site and has had some discussion with the council staff in regard to the reports regarding it. And I have a note that the only person wishing to appear today is Susan Jolly. No, I'm sorry, Susan. It's Rachel Monaghan, who is concerned against the development. And I'm inviting her to speak now. We have no representative of the applicant present, but the panel might have questions of Rachel Monaghan once she's spoken. Now, Rachel, we normally limit speakers to 3 minutes because we've had the benefit of your objection, and so we'd like you to just take us to the main points, and then I understand it's in regard to landscaping, and then the panel may want to clarify what you have to say. Yep. Would you like to proceed now?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yes. Hi, my name is Rachel Monaghan. I live next door to the proposed site. So I live at number 188 Pacific Highway, which is a company title block of units consisting of 4 units. I've lived here since 1995, so it's approximately 30 years, give or take. My main concerns are the increase of more than 10% of the construction of the height of the building. And it says at some point in the documentation that it's the average of the local heights, and I disagree with that. As shown in their own diagrams, the height of my building and the other one on the other side, number 184 Pacific Highway, we are both under the limit. So an average increase just creeps around the neighbourhood, and it's going to, if they base their requirement on the average height, it'll gradually increase throughout the whole neighbourhood. They've included an incorrect statement that they approached the owners of number 188 and asked to purchase the property. They have never approached us and given us any indication verbally or in writing, and I put it to council that if that statement remains in their documentation, they should back it up with some sort of evidence of some sort of documentation or approach that they've made to the owners of the St. Relates company that own the property at number 188. Their information about the planting of additional trees, it's not replacement trees, it's additional trees, and I understand that they're at the request of the council to improve the local surrounds. On our side of the Pacific Highway, we have the electricity lines that dissect both my property and the property that's due for reconstruction, as well as they pass over the top of the public footpath that runs along the Pacific Highway. So particularly the large tree that's planned for the front of the garden needs to be moved away from the property boundaries, both the one that's on my property at 188 or the company property at 188 and the public footpath, because that particular tree is renowned for shedding its limbs, which could be a danger to passers-by on the Pacific Highway.
All right.
Yep, and the additional tree, the large tree that's in the back garden that's proposed, it would be less than 1/4 on the property, and they've indicated that they are going to build a retaining wall in that corner of the property facing southwest, and it's less than 1/4, so 3/4 and more of that large tree will be slap bang against the retaining walls, both to the south and the west of that property. So my request humbly is to move that tree into the main sector of the garden, where they've indicated it's right over the drying property, both on their side at number 186, and we have a Hills Hoist rotary line in our back garden, as well as over the guttering and the roofing of our standalone garages. So that would detrimentally affect our building, which is an existing building and an existing rotary hoist.
It looks as though it's over their proposed clothes drying area too.
It does. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Go on.
And in one of their diagrams, they show the full construction of a storage tank that's on, it will encroach onto the boundary of the 188 Pacific Highway. It's a new storage tank on the main sewer line. So most of the diagrams conveniently only show the portion of the storage tank that is on the property of number 186, but there is one diagram that actually does show it encroaches onto the property of number 188, which will have an effect on the existing mature gardening that is on our side of the property line of 188 and 186. So there's quite a few camellia trees along that hedge line, and there's one frangipani tree, and there's one New South Wales native Christmas bush along that property line.
Okay.
So they would be impacted, and there's no information about what happens to those, if those are going to be restored, if they're injured, or what will happen. So they're my main concerns. Yep, the existing planting on our property line being affected by the storage tank and the large overhanging trees, as well as the increase of the property.
Thank you. I think we're over the 3 minutes, but thank you for that. Tell me, have you read the council officer's report on
yes, I have.
Of the proposed? So you know that it's recommended for refusal.
Oh no, sorry, I haven't read that one. No.
Well, the council officers have recommended refusal.
Okay.
Okay. On a number of grounds. Okay. Now, do the panel members have any questions of Ms. Monaghan?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. Yes, Ms. Horton.
Yes, Rachel, could I just clarify, when you were talking about the storage tank, was that something that you saw on the architectural plans, or did you see it on the stormwater plans?
I've got it here. It's in the document called Proposed Residential Development 186 Pacific Highway, Roseville, Civil Engineering Works.
Okay, all right. And so that's a stormwater infrastructure that your interpretation of that. Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
That's my interpretation.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Suzanne. any comments? I didn't hear you. Your lips were moving.
Sorry, I was on mute. No, no further questions.
Okay.
Very, very clear. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Monaghan. The panel's understood, I think, pretty much your concerns. So thank you for appearing, and we'll make a decision on the application today. And if you're familiar with the panel, it'll be on the council's website in the next couple of days.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now that concludes the speakers that we have. Do the panel members wish to discuss the final decision during the meeting, or shall we adjourn to a closed session in order to make the final decision?
I think the closed session myself, but
Righto. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll do that. So I can say thank you to those people who have attended the panel meeting by Zoom today. I'll now close the public section of the meeting, and the panel will retire to a closed session and deliberate on the matters before it on this agenda, and the decisions will be posted on Council's website within 48 hours of the close of the deliberation meeting. Are there any other matters arising before we sign off to the closed session? No? Well, thank you for your attendance today, everybody. I now close the public section of the Ku-ring-gai Local Planning Panel meeting of the 18th of September 2023.